the Read to Me project is for kids who are in 4th and 5th, and at some schools in 6th grade classrooms. And it's for you to read to a little person at home. Some of you don't have little people at home, so it's not necessarily for you, but it's for those of you who have an 8-month-old, 1, 2, 3, 4, or even someone who might be turning 5. So if you have a little person at home that is 8 months old to 5 years old, 4 or 5, turning 5, you can do this. So the way we work it out is I bring you a box of books like this, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. There's like 70 books in here. There's books for the babies, there's books for 2-year-olds, there's books for 3-year-olds, and there's book for the 4 and 5-year-olds. So you will check a book out every week, take it home and read it 4 times. We're trying to get every child read to 100 times during the school year. And you can do that. If you read the book 4 times every week, you take a new book and you read it. Some of you might read it more than 4 times. You'll get there by April probably. So, how many of you have a little person at home? And it can be a brother, it can be a sister, it can even be a cousin, somebody that lives in your house. That's 8 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe turn 5. Let me count. Okay, wait. How old? 3.
1.
A 1-year-old.
Yes, 1-year-old. 5.
A 5-year-old.
8 months.
8 months. She's got the baby.
4.
A 4-year-old. 8 months. Another one.
3.
3. 1.
3.
A 3.
4.
A 4-year-old. Good.
4.
Another 4.
1 and 4.
A 1 and 4. Good.
4.
And a 4. And a 1. 8 months or 8 years? 8 months, another baby. Good. Wow, that's a lot. You have a big group that have their siblings in here. Good. Are these siblings or cousins?
Siblings.
Mostly siblings and maybe a cousin or 2? Okay. But they do need to live with you. So what I want to talk to you now about, which we talked about last year, remember this? I think we talked about this last year. We talked about the brain of everybody. Everybody has a wonderful brain, and every one of you have a brain that is very, very smart. Your brains are very smart. Your brains are perfect. They are so wonderful. They have so much ability to learn and to gain knowledge. I wonder if we should shut that door. Maybe. So your brains are ready. But guess what? A new baby is born. And guess what? Their brains are kind of like this. They're kind of blank, empty. They're not filled with knowledge yet, are they? And even your brains are not as full as they're going to get. Some student told me once, he said, you know what, Mrs. Greenway? My dad says that my brain will never fill up. It'll never get full of knowledge. It's never going to be full because you're going to keep adding knowledge to your brain your whole life. So a baby's brain starts off kind of empty. It's great brain. It's got all the things it needs to have to start to learn. But when a baby's first born, the baby has 5, do you guys know what I'm going to say? Baby has 5 senses. That's right. Baby has 5 senses. He said touch. The baby has 5 senses. And so do you, of course. All of us do. And those 5 senses start the baby's brain waking up and getting all lit up and active. So did you say touch? Yeah. So one of the baby's first things they learn about is their sense of touch. When they're touched, do babies love to be touched?
Yes. Yes.
They love to be touched. They love to be rocked. They love to be held. And they also love to touch you and touch their blankets and touch their stuffed animals and play with your hair. So babies, the minute they're born, they begin to feel with their touch, their sense of touch. And guess what happens to their brain when that happens? Their brain starts to light up with new information. Ding! Soft, something hard, something, right? So what's another one of those senses that we need to put up there?
Smell?
Of course. A baby has a wonderful sense of smell. I have a question. Have you ever smelled baby powder?
Yes.
It smells pretty good. Most of us like it. And you know what happens when we smell it? Our brain has a memory for that smell. It has a great memory. And so babies have a wonderful sense of smell, and when they smell something, good or bad, it doesn't matter. It's going to light that brain up with new information. What's another sense?
Taste.
Taste, thank you. And babies, of course, the minute they're right after they're born, they start to drink milk. Their sense of taste is they're excited to start to taste things. Taste their mama's milk, which is sweet. Look, starts to light up because it's yummy. What else?
Hearing.
Hearing. I've got to put that one up here. Hearing. A baby's sense of hearing. What does a baby hear when they're first born in the hospital? Can you think of something they might hear the very first few minutes they're born? What else? What? People talking. Yeah, you're right. They're going to hear sounds of people's voices, mom and dad and grandma and the doctor and the nurses. Yeah, what else are they going to hear?
Oh, never mind.
What else are they going to hear?
Are they crying?
Yeah, they're probably going to hear crying. They're probably going to hear themselves crying. And they're also going to hear people cry because they're happy. Maybe mama's crying or daddy's crying. Yeah. What else?
Looking.
What else? What else will they hear? Oh, you were going to tell me a sense? Anybody else think of anything else they might hear? Okay, we'll go on. What's the next sense? Tell me, what was your next sense?
Seeing.
Seeing. I'm going to write the word sight because it means the same thing. Yeah, babies, the first thing they see in a hospital. Name some things that they might see. They're going to see people's faces. Ding, ding, ding. It lights up. What else back there? They're going to see the doctor's faces, the nurses' faces. Good. What else?
The moms.
They're going to see mom's faces. But what are they going to see besides faces? Think. They open their eyes and what are they going to see?
Doors.
Doors, yes, thank you. Doors and
A blanket.
a blanket right close to them and
A bed.
a bed and what else?
A room.
A room. What else?
A light.
The lights. I was thinking lights. They're going to see lights. And they're going to see colors, red and different colors. They don't know what those things are yet, do they?
No.
Not yet, but their brain's like, ooh, that's cool. Their brain starts to get really active and really excited about all the things their body's teaching them. And the neat thing about this is after a while, the brain starts to make connections between, so I like to say this, but have you ever walked into a room and smelled cookies?
Yes.
Yeah. So you walk in and your brain goes, first of all, you're going to smell the cookies, right? But then what does your brain think about? How they taste and how they feel. Are they soft and gooey cookies? Are they crunchy cookies? What else? How they look. How do they look? Are they big cookies? Are they chocolate chip cookies or peanut butter cookies? Your brain knows all of these things, and so your brain starts to connect all that information together, and what comes up is something else you know. You know the word. Cookie! So when you walk into your house, your brain's thinking of all the things, and all of a sudden it goes, cookies! I know cookies! And so one thing that a baby doesn't have for quite a while, they don't have any words.
No.
They don't have any words, do they? Do you know, they don't have a vocabulary, but here's what they do start to do. Very early, they start to learn words. They don't talk yet. We call it receptive language. they start to understand words. So when mama comes in after and the baby's 3 months old and she says, oh, baby's wet, the baby's going to go, oh, diaper time, whatever, or kick its legs. And so the baby knows maybe that word, wet. Or maybe the baby, mama says, are you hungry? Baby knows that word. So babies start to learn words, but they're not talking yet. How old is a baby when they usually start to talk? Do you know?
3 months.
What do you think?
1.
You think they're 1?
2.
2?
Oh,
Anybody know?
1.5.
1.5?
Around 9 months.
Around 9 months? Yeah. Well, you guys are all kind of right. Some babies will start to say their very first words at around a year. And they'll say something like, my son, one of his first words, I didn't even know what it was. And then I realized later, he would say, "ee." I didn't think that was a word. But we have a dog named Kareem. And he would always say, "ee," when he saw the dog. So I finally realized, oh, that's his first word. But he was about a year, maybe, and by the time he was a year and a half, he knew maybe 50 words. He could say maybe 50 words. And by the time he was 2 years old, he could say probably 300 words. So it goes fast, right? So one of the things you're going to help with your little brothers and sisters and cousins is this part down here is called, I call this, it starts at 0. It starts at birth, and it goes for 5 years. And the scientists have been studying about how children learn. And the scientists have been studying children's brains. And what they found out is that from 0 to 5 years old is this huge learning time for children, that you will learn more during this first 5 years of your life than almost at any other time in your life. That this is the time when children's bodies and brains are just ready to soak it up. Have you ever seen a sponge, a dry sponge? Yes. And you put it in a bowl of water? Yes. What's it do? Soaks it up. Well, that's what's happening during this first 5 years. Your little brother, sister, cousin's brain, your brains were like that too. They just soak up new information and knowledge and begin to be very good thinkers at this age. And they also learn something that's so important, which is what?
Language.
Language. Oh my gosh. Language is so important to kids because when you learn your language and vocabulary and new words, when you get to school, you can learn to read. Now, if you don't have this part very strong, it's hard to read. If you don't have good language and you don't understand language very well, it's hard to learn to read. So we want to build the foundation. I call this the learning foundation, or foundation for learning. You ever heard of the word foundation?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, a foundation under a building is what? It's made out of cement or concrete, and it's very, very strong. And so a learning foundation is the first 5 years of life. We want to make it strong. We want to fill it up with all kinds of wonderful knowledge about the world. And the way we're going to do that, you can do a lot of ways. You can play, you can go places, but one of the easiest ways is just to read books. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So after they have the foundation, they come to school and they learn to read, and then what? Then they learn to write, which is a little harder than reading. And then they can learn everything. They can learn science and math and history. You can learn all of those things. If you know how to read and write, you can do all of that. You go to high school. And even if you want to,
College.
yeah, you can go to college because you have the foundation for learning here. And kids who don't have a strong foundation, it's harder to do this. But some kids can do it anyway because they really want to learn and they really want to go to college. So, you know what somebody called this?
Cake.
Yeah, they called it a cake. But they called it a cake. They called it a, what did they call it? Yeah, a learning cake. They call it a learning cake. I always called it the Tower of Knowledge, but I kind of like learning cake.
I know.
Yeah, it makes you want to eat it, right? All right. So now we're going to talk about the Read to Me project. We're going to talk about, well, how do you read to a little brother? So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's kind of important because this is what you're going to do if you participate. Right here is that one. What's it say at the top?
Young children.
Oh, you guys are good readers. The 9 best ways to read to young children. What do you have to do first?
Know your book.
That means read it, pick it. When you get your book, read it a little bit so you know what it's about. Look at the pictures and read it, and then you'll know about it and you can make it more interesting. What's number 2?
Find a quiet read to me place.
When you take your book home, how many of you live in noisy homes? Some of you live in noisy homes. This might be hard. You've got to find a quiet place. Can you sit in front of a TV and read?
No.
Why? It's going to, they're going to get distracted, and so will you get distracted if you're trying to read in front of a TV. So do not read in front of television. If music's on, you're going to have to go somewhere else or turn it down. You can even ask your parents. You could say, you know, I need to read to Junior, so I want to turn it off for 3 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. What does number 3 say?
Cuddle up beside your sibling.
Get close and cuddle up. If you have a little 8-month-old at home, you can have them sit on your lap if you're on a comfortable chair. Otherwise, get them close to you. What's number 4?
Point to the pictures as you read.
Now, we're not teaching kids how to read books, especially when they're 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We're just showing them, we're teaching them about the world, we're teaching them language and vocabulary. So they need to see the pictures, not you say the words, you read the book, but they look at pictures because that's how their brain's going to connect knowledge. It's going to gather the knowledge by looking at the pictures and hearing what you say about it. What's number 5?
Make your voice interesting.
That's right. You know, if you read like this and it's not very interesting, it's kind of monotone and pretty fast, and, well, it's not going to be good, right? So what would your little brother or sister do? Walk away, crawl away, run away. They're not going to like it. So you have to make it interesting, and I'll show you how to do that. Number 6, what's it say?
Slow down your reading.
Don't read too fast because their little brains are trying to take in all that new information. Don't go too fast. Number 7.
Talk about the pictures.
Yeah, talk about what you're looking at. Don't just read the words because that's a little boring and there's only a few words on a page sometimes. So you have to talk about what you're seeing. What's number 8?
Use I wonder statements.
Yeah, that means like when you're reading, you're going to say, I wonder where that dog's going next. Because that is what gets that little person to start to think, oh, yeah, I wonder. Makes their brain curious. And do you know that our brains are like naturally curious? And so our brains do that anyway. So when you ask those questions, it's a good thing. We don't want to sit there and say, some people like to ask kids, what's that? What's that? What's that? Tell me that. That's not too good because it's sometimes kids don't like it. I mean, you probably wouldn't like it either if somebody did it to you a lot. So one thing is to ask these, I wonder, what is that animal going to find next, or where are they going to hide next? Number 9, what's it say?
Have fun.
Have fun. Reading to your siblings should be fun, and the books in my box should be easy. Did I show you these books? Oh my goodness, they're all in plastic bags. So there's a lot of books, and I have books in here for babies. And this one has a B at the beginning, which means it's for a baby. And then I have books with the blue tops. And these books I usually say are for 2-year-olds.
Oh, I have one.
Yeah.
I love that one.
And you know, this book is, it has feeling. So you could read this to a baby, but it's really for a 2-year-old because it's about counting. And really, we don't usually count with babies yet, but 2-year-olds we do. Then my third group of books is for 3-year-olds. And these books have more language in them. So we have 3-year-old books. And then my last group of books with the yellow to green top is for the 4-year-olds. And it has an F for 4 and 5, 4-year-old books. So I have about 70 books in here. And I was going to read to you right now and show you how to read to a young person. Let's see. Maybe I'll read I like this book. So remember the rules. How do you read a book? So when I read this, I want you to see if you can see if I'm doing all of the things we talked about. Oh, I'm sorry. I pinched your nose. All right. So first of all, I'm going to show him the book. And even the front of the book, baby books or any books have lots of beautiful pictures. So you can talk about the front of the book too. And I say, look, there's a sheep, a nice white and black sheep. And it says, yum, yum. I bet there's food in this book. Oh, look, the polar bear eats a blue fish. You see that? There's the blue fish. And there's the water. There's the polar bear. I think he's hungry. Oh my goodness, look, it's an elephant. And the elephant is reaching up with his long nose, which is called a trunk. And he's trying to get the green leaves. Look, he loves to eat green leaves. We like green leaves too because we eat lettuce. Yeah. Oh my goodness, this one is not an elephant, it's a donkey. And the donkey is eating a red apple. You see the red apple? You're wearing red. You got red shoes on and a red shirt. Yeah, and you know what a donkey says? He says, hee-haw, hee-haw. You notice how there's only a few words. This is in Spanish, by the way. This book is in Spanish, and then at the bottom it's in English. So you can read some of the baby books in Spanish if you want, or just say them in English and then translate them to Spanish. The sheep is eating yellow flowers. Look at all those yellow flowers. My goodness. And you know, one of the things is interesting that I work with lots of children, and so many 5- and 4-year-olds do not know what a sheep is. They don't even know the difference between a sheep and a goat. So you have to help them. That's one of the things you do when you read books. You teach them about that. Oh, look, there's 2 birds. 1, 2, and they're eating purple grapes. Oh, not grapes, berries. But I love purple grapes. Yeah. Do you like purple grapes? Yes. And that's all there is. Was that a short book? Now, if I read this again tomorrow or the next day, I would say, oh, there's the polar bear. Do you remember what comes next? Is it a doggy or is it an elephant? And he may not be able to talk yet, but he'll probably say, you know, elephant, or he might make a sound or something. So, you know, you can say, I wonder what's next, because after you read this book 3 or 4 times, guess what happens to his brain? He knows, he remembers, and even if he can't talk yet, he's starting to learn new words. Do you know that a 1-year-old usually doesn't know about elephants or donkeys or sheep? So you can help them learn about these things, and they don't know their colors yet. So that's why this is a great book for little guys. So which of these things did I just do? Which of these things did I just do? Can you tell me? Yeah.
Find a quiet place.
Was it quiet in here? Yes, it was. You guys are good. It was nice and quiet. What else did I do? I did. I did not read nice and slowly. Good. Yes.
Point to the pictures as you read.
I totally pointed to the pictures. I never pointed to the words with him because he's just too little for that.
Talked about the pictures?
Yes, of course. I know she was thinking that. I talked about the pictures because that's where all the language is and the vocabulary. Yeah.
Make your voice interesting.
Was my voice interesting? Pretty interesting. I tried. That's all you can do is try. Yeah, exactly. What else?
Cuddle up with the bear.
I did. I cuddled up with my little bear. You're not going to read like this because that's more like a class, right? You got to cuddle up with them. Good. Are there any more? Did we lose one?
The wonder statement?
Oh, I did. I told you how to do that. Yeah, I wonder what animal comes next. That's right. Good.
You had fun?
Yes, I had fun, and he had fun, and I even think you guys had fun. I mean, it's just a baby book, but it's kind of fun, isn't it? Yeah, they're like, maybe not. All right, so I think we're going to end pretty soon, but before we do, I want to go over one more thing with you of another chart. Did I make these? You know, I did not. My sister is an artist, and one of the things she does for her, she makes a lot of money. She goes to meetings and she draws. She puts paper along the walls of the meetings, and while they're talking, she's drawing and writing the whole meeting for sometimes 2 or 3 days. She's write and draw, and so she's very good at this. So I asked her to do this for me, so she did, because I can't do this, as you can see. I think that's better. All right, look up here. So number 9, read to me rules. Read the first one.
Choose an age-appropriate book.
Make sure the book is the right for your age. Oh, we're going to need 2 book bin monitors assistants. So you're going to choose them, not today, but after we get the kids to sign up, and when I bring your book bin back in, you're going to have to choose 2 students who are very good at being responsible and not absent. We can't have you be absent too often. And you've got to be assertive, which means you have to remind kids, oh, you forgot your book yesterday. You need to bring it, right? Or remind your teacher, too. Oh, yesterday, or you could say, Monday's a holiday. Let's do Read to Me on Tuesday. That's good, too. So you're going to be assertive and responsible, and you're going to keep track of the kids checking books in and checking books out. So that's important one. Okay, number 2, read the book to yourself. Do that first so you know the book. Number 3, find a quiet read to me place. We said that. Number 4, cuddle up with your sibling. Good. And number 5, read the book at least 4 days during the week. 4 times at least. And I want you to read, by the time we're done in April and May, you will have read 100 times to your siblings if you read 4 times every week. And that's important. And at Christmas, by the way, I'm going to bring in some new books, and you're going to choose one book. Remember? And you'll wrap that book and take it home to your sibling.
That was fun.
Yeah. Number 6. Keep the book safe and in its bag. When you're finished reading, you're not going to just walk away and go, okay, it's dinner time. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to make sure that the bag goes back, the book goes back in its bag, and you're going to put the book up in a safe place so nobody can get to it. Are books toys? No, they're not toys. So you can put it up on a shelf somewhere where you'll remember, or back in your backpack, so that you can get it the next time. If you leave it on the floor, well, it can be ruined, but Mom might come in and sweep it away or take all the toys and push them over to the corner, and it'll be gone. Okay, you have a question?
If we sign up, do we give them to you?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it. Just one second. Let's finish up, and then we'll go to that. Number 7, return the book to the book bin. So you'll check out on Mondays. Is that okay with you if you check out on Monday? And return the books probably on Friday. That's how most teachers do it, but you can be creative if you prefer a different way. And then you're going to mark the book log. The book monitors will do that. And what's number 9?
Do it again.
Do it again the next week, and the next week, and the next week. Because if we only read to children once in a while, it's just not going to help their brain really grow and develop the way we want it to. So we have to read to them often, really, truly. How many of you We're never read to at your house. We're never read to by your parents. Yeah. There's always about, there's about 40% that tend to be kids that weren't read to. So here's your chance for you guys to help your little brothers and sisters get read to. Okay? Okay, questions. He wanted to know, what did you ask? When are we going to start this? Okay, so I'm going to give you the forms, and then you're going to fill them out. Now, you can either send the forms home or have the parents sign them at the conference, or you can do both. And you can also get the kids, right, you can take a list of kids that want to participate, and then you'll know which parents to talk to. So I'll give you those forms, and I will come back in. When is parent conferences, do you know?
Next week.
Okay, so I'm going to come in after parent conferences are over. I'm going to collect those forms that they've signed, or have somebody signed, and then I'm going to bring in your book bin, and we'll get started. Okay? Any other questions? That was a good question. Thank you. You guys are good listeners. Any more questions? I know there's more. Yes.
Like if the book is safe,
yes.
Like the bag is like all is the bag
messed up?
Yeah.
All right. So if you bring a book back, let's say you lost the bag. Just bring the book back. Don't worry about the bag too much. I want you to bring the books in their bag to keep them clean and safe in your backpack. But if you have a book and you don't have a bag, you could put it in a bag in your kitchen, or just bring it back. And you say, I lost the bag. Okay? Don't hold on to books because, because you've lost the bag. Bring them back. It's the most important thing. Bring them back. Try to keep the bag safe. We don't want little kids especially to have plastic bags around them. Anybody else? There was another hand that went up. Any other questions? Somebody had two siblings, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. So if you have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, you may take 2 books. You can, if you want to. You can either choose to read to just one of them, or you can take 1 book for 1-year-old, 1 book for 4-year-old. If you have 2 that are the same age, 3 like almost the same age, like 2 and 3s, you might just take 1 book and read to both of them. Any other questions? Do you have any questions? You got it? You understand? Okay, because I know your teacher hasn't done this before, so he might have questions for me later. And some of you who've already done it can actually help him. So, all right. Well, if you don't have any more questions, then I think we're kind of finished, and you can all go back to class.